Hello students and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Now kids, in this video we are going to see quite many questions of rectify the error. Kids, read the questions properly once and try to understand them. The errors which I have marked over here, there is a possibility that the same passage will come but the error can be different. So your first question is, he wrote to God in nahi on envelope, put the letter beside, not beside, inside, and still trouble went to town. Trouble nahi aayega, troubled. To the post office he placed a stamp, to nahi at, over the letter and over nahi on, drop it nahi dropped it, in the mailbox, into the mailbox. Not a leaf remained on the trees. Leaves nahi leaf. The corn was totally destroyed because the passage is in a past form. The flowers were gone off the plants. Off nahi hota hai, from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled by sadness, by nahi, with sadness, while the storm had passed. While nahi, when. He says to his son, he said to his son, a plague of locusts should have left more than this. Should nahi, would. In a satisfied expression, in nahi with, he regards his field he regarded, of ripe corn with its flower. Apostrophe nahi, its saiga. Draping in a curtain of rain. Draping nahi, draped in a curtain of rain, and suddenly a strong wind and नहीं but and यहाँ पे भी a strong wind है. So began blowing and along with began blowing नहीं big blowing का to blown. The rain very large hailstone began to fall. Hailstone की spelling wrong दी गई है, आपको hailstones की spelling सही करनी है. One of the employee नहीं one of the employees who was a postman, also helped at the post office, went to his boss, laughed heartily, laughing, and showed him the letter to God. Even in his career as a postman, even नहीं होगा, never होगा, had he known that address. We have at last, our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves liberate all our people from continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation. Poor ka poverty, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. या discriminations हो जाएगा and other discriminations. The day symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing. They call Lexical I Africa and black singing Die Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. We whom were outlaws not so long ago, who have today being given the rare privilege, been from the host to the nations of the world, from se to. On our own soil, we thank distinguished international guests for have come to take possession, having from the people of our country, with the people of our country. That day had come through the unimaginable sacrifice, through of thousands of my people, thousand नहीं thousands people whose suffering and courage can never be count or repaid. Count nahi counted. I felt that day that I was simply the sum of all these Africans, all those African patriots, which had gone before me, which nahi who. Everyone is born hating. Everyone nahi aayega. No one is born hating the other person because of the another nahi aayega. Another person because of the color on his skin or his on nahi, the color of his skin or his background and his religion. And nahi और आएगा. People must taught to love. People must people must learn to love. The sun was now descending the sky, ascending the sky, blazed on his ledge that faced the south, blazing. He felt the heat, so he had not eaten. So nahi because for the previous nightfall he stepped, since then previous nightfall, he stepped slow out of the break of the ledge, slowly, standing on one leg with the another leg, standing on one leg with another leg, other leg, hid under his wings, hidden under his wings. The next moment he feels नहीं आएगा, felt आएगा, past tense में paragraph है. His wings spread inward नहीं, outward. The wind rushed onto his breast, onto नहीं, against, breast feathers, then under his stomach, then नहीं, then. And before his wings against his wings, he could feel the tip of his wings cutting through the air. The moon came up कैसे हो सकता है? The moon was coming up in the east after नहीं, behind me, and stars were shone नहीं होता बेटा, shining आएगा. The stars were shining in the clear sky above me. अब clear sky above me, कुछ भी गलती नहीं है. There wasn't a cloud at the sky, in the sky. I was happy being alone, to be alone, high up above the countryside. So slept sleeping. Suddenly I came out from the clouds, off, and saw two long straight lines of light. Straight. Behind me it was a runway and airport. Behind me, front. I was safe. I turned to look after my friend. For in the black aeroplane and the sky was, but the black aeroplane and the sky was empty. There was something there. Something nahi, somewhere, something nahi, here it is something. Something nahi, nothing. The black aeroplane has gone. Has nahi, was gone. So whom held me arrive? Whom nahi, who? There safely without a compass or a radio. There nahi, there. And with any more fuel in my tank, with nahi, without. Who was the pilot over the strange black aeroplane? On. Over nahi, on. Fly in the storm nahi, flying in the storm. To enhance the image of those long awaited friend in my imagining, I don't want imagining nahi, imagination. I don't want jotting down the facts in this. Jotting nahi, to jot. In this diary, the way most people would. And I want the diary, but I want the diary to have my friend and to be my friend, and I'm going to be called this friend Kitty. Be called call. I'm going to call. That evening, before I had finished, after, the sum of my homework, the notes, rest of my homework, To the essay caught my eye. To nahi, about the essay I caught my eye. I began thought nahi, thinking about the subject while chew the tip of my fountain pen. Chew nahi, chewing. No one could ramble on and leave. No one nahi, anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces among the words. Among nahi, between. I get away well with all my teachers. Away nahi, along. There are 9 among them, 7 men, among nahi, of, and 2 women, woman nahi, woman. Mr. Casing the old fogey whom teaches maths was annoyed. Who teaches maths was annoyed by me for ages because I talked so much. By nahi, with. Before several warnings he assigned me, after several warnings he assigned me extra homework and essay in the subject a chatterbox, in nahi, on. Vanda does not sit there because, does nahi, did. She was rough but noisy, but nahi, and. On the contrary, she was very quiet and she was quiet, spelling wrong here, and rarely said something at all, something nahi, anything. And nobody had ever heard her to laugh nahi, laughing out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into some or time alag nahi, sometimes a crooked sort of smile, short nahi, sort. Today, in spite of they had been late to, in spite of nahi, even though they had been late to school, Maddie is glad she had not. Maddie was glad she had not. Have to make fun of Venda, have nahi, had to make fun of Venda. She worked her arithmetic problems absent-mindedly. Absent-minded, absent-minded nahi hoga, mindedly. 8 times 8, let's see, she wished. She नहीं है सी. लेट्स शी वाला जो आपको यहाँ पे जो शी दिया है बेटा, एक सेकेंड, यहाँ पे ये शी गलत है. She had the nerve writing Peggy a note. She had the nerve to write actually. It's not to wrote, it's to write, WRITE. To write a note to Peggy, write a note to write a note, write, sorry, now to write Peggy a note asking her not bothering Wendell, not bothering me, to bother. Peggy, who have thought of this game, have nahi had, and Maddie, her inseparable friends were friend, never the last to left, always the last to left. Wenda would moved up the street, move, her eyes dull and her mouth closed. Her left shoulder every now and then, then, in the funny way she had finished the walk to school alone, finishing. A deep silence met the reading, met past form of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blowing, but wiped them on her soft white handkerchief, and then she put them on, off again, on, and looked from the class, at. When she speaks, her voice was very low. When she spoke, Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Vanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked off her, on, and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not moving away, to move away, and everybody would would be nice. The next day it it was drizzling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. usually नहीं, naturally on a day like this, they didn't wait on Venda, on नहीं for Venda Petroxy in the corner of Oliver's Street. On in नहीं on. Marriage gifts are meaningful without meaningful नहीं meaningless. The sweet bread known as bowl, just as a known नहीं known, just as a party and feast loses its charm. Party or feast with bread. Not enough can be said to, with nahi without, show what important baker can be for. How important for a village. The lady of the house is नहीं आएगा, must आएगा, और prepared नहीं prepare होगा. Kurgi home have a tradition of hospitality, and they are more than willing to recount. Then, then, to willing to recount numerous tales of valor related to their tales. To their sons and father, the Kurg regiment is sons, one of the most decorated in the Indian most in the Indian Army and the first Chief of Indian Army General Cariappa is a was a Kurgi. It was a magnificent view against the backdrop of dense wooded hills, a sea densely of tea bushes stretched as far as I could see. Dwarfed, the tiny tea plants were tall, dwarfing sturdy shade trees, and amidst the shade trees, order rows of bushes busily. Ordered, moving doll-like figure, moved. The climb to the Brahmagiri hills brings. I'm sorry. The climb to the Brahmagiri hills brings you into panorama view of the entire panoramic misty landscape of Kurg, a walk above across the rope bridge leading to 64-acre leads island of Nisarmad running into Buddhist monk to India's largest Tibetan from settlement at was is. From the opening of that sack began with phase of my life that has not but ended but nahi yet, and can for all I know not end before I can nahi me did. It is in effect a thaldom to otter, did nahi do, an otter fixation that I had since found had nahi have to be shared with most other people, with nahi by, who have ever known one, owned one. When I returned, there was an appalling spectacle. There was completely silence, completely incomplete, with the box, but from its air holes and with from chinks about the lid, blood had trickled about around and dried. I wiped on the lock and off the lock, and tore open the lid, and Mitchell exhausted, and blood splatter caught at my legs, splattered. When I casually mentioned this to a friend, as casually replied if I had better get one in the if ke badle that, Tigris marshes and were often tamed to the by the Arabs. We were gone to Basara to consulate general. We were going to Basara collecting का to collect हो जाएगा and all the consulate का at the consulate हो जाएगा. Along many days and months Wali listened along nahi over carefully at conversation between her at nahi two neighbors and people whom regularly, whom nahi who, used the bus, but she also asked a few, but nahi and discreet questions here and there. 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 This way she picks up various small details, picks nahi picked, from the bus nahi about the bus. Wali devotes something with her eyes, something nahi everything. But since she started to look outside, when she started to look outside, she finds a view cut off by a found canvas blind that covered the upper part of the window, lower part of the window, because she stood up. So she stood up on the seat and peered into the blind, over the blind. The most fascinating thing in all was the bus, of all was the bus that travelled among her village and the nearest, between town. It passed away her street each hour, once through her street, going to the town and once coming back. The sight of the bus filled every time with each time with a new set of passengers was a source of endless joy for Wali. Sorry, endless nahi, unending. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeful. Hopeful nahi aega beta, hopeless aega. And sat down at the roadside, watching the lights of the city when they flickered, as they flickered, up and were extinguished again. At last the darkness of the night ranged everywhere, and she considers the fate of men that considered their lives flickers up and extinguished again. Flickered up. Kisa Gautami has an only son and he had an only son. In her grief she carried the dead child, to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said she had lost her senses, has lost her senses. The boy is death nay dead. At length she met a man who replied to her request. I could not give the medicine. Could not, nay, cannot. Natalia, I could make you a present of. I can. Them herself named myself. Behavior, Ivan Vasilievich is strange, to say the least. Up to this, we have always thought of you as a good neighbor, as a friend. Last year we lent threshing machine, but you behaved badly. Lomo, but you can see from the documents, honorably honored Natalia Stepnova. Oxen widows, it's true, were the subject of dispute, but now everybody knows that they are mine. There is nothing to argue about. You see, my aunt's grandmother gave the free use of these meadows in perpetuity to the peasants of your father's grandfather. थैंक यू किड्स. आई नो काफ़ी सारे आप बोलोगे मैम एंड मोमेंट पे आप इतने सारे हमें एरर्स दे रहे हो. बेटा रीड देम प्रॉपरली, ध्यान से पढ़िएगा. बेटा एरर्स का पैराग्राफ सेम रह सकता है, बट ऐसा हो सकता है उन्होंने और कोई गलती निकाली हो. तो ध्यान से रीड करिएगा, रट्टा मार के मत जाइएगा. Thank you. I hope the video is helpful for you. Don't stress. Do your best. Forget the rest. Bye bye. Have a great day.